The champagne glass shattered against the marble floor of the reception hall. Conversations halted. The string quartet's melody faded to silence, and 300 pairs of eyes turned toward the source of the disruption. Eliza Bennett stood at the edge of the dance floor. Barefoot mascara streaked down her flushed cheeks. She wore a midnight blue evening gown, wrinkled and stained, not the outfit she'd planned to wear to her sister's wedding. "I'd like to make a toast," she announced, voice wavering but determined. She plucked another champagne flute from a nearby tray, ignoring the server's look of alarm. The bride, Abigail, frozen in her white lace gown, clutched the arm of her new husband, Nathan. His face had drained of color. "To the happy couple," Eliza continued, raising her glass. "My sister and my ex-husband," someone gasped. Abigail's mother stepped forward, hand outstretched. "Eliza, please." "No, Mom. I think everyone here deserves to know exactly what kind of marriage we're celebrating today." Eliza's eyes locked with Nathan's. "Did you tell them how it began? How you were still in my bed when you started sleeping with her? Or how you two planned your future while I was planning our anniversary?" Nathan whispered something into Abigail's ear. She nodded slightly, panic etched across her perfect features. "Security," Nathan called, his lawyer voice perfectly modulated despite the chaos. "We have an uninvited guest." Eliza's laugh echoed in the cavernous space. "That's right, Nathan. I wasn't invited to the wedding of my sister and the man I was married to for 7 years." She took a step forward, glass dangling from her fingers. "But that's okay, because I brought my own gift." She reached into her clutch and pulled out a small USB drive, holding it up like a trophy. "And trust me, it's something you'll never forget. 18 months earlier. Can you believe we've been married for 6 years? Nathan said, wrapping his arms around Eliza from behind as she stood at their kitchen counter, chopping vegetables for dinner. Their Upper East Side apartment glowed with the warm light of early evening. Manhattan's skyline framed perfectly in the floor-to-ceiling windows. It was everything Eliza had dreamed of when she'd left her small Pennsylvania town for Columbia Law School 12 years ago. "Best 6 years of my life," she replied, setting down her knife to turn in his arms. At 34, Nathan Caldwell was still as handsome as the day she'd met him in constitutional law. Dark hair with premature silver at the temples, intelligent green eyes, and the confident posture of a man who'd never questioned his place in the world. "I was thinking," he said, stealing a piece of bell pepper from the cutting board. "Maybe it's time we revisited the conversation about kids." Eliza's smile faltered slightly. "I thought we agreed to wait until you made partner." "And I will. The Bishop merger is going to seal it." He brushed a strand of her chestnut hair from her face. "But we're not getting any younger, and the fertility treatments might take time." The painful memory of their last consultation with the reproductive specialist flickered through Eliza's mind. Low ovarian reserve, diminished egg quality, words that had haunted her for months. "Let me get through this big case first," she said. "Taylor and Winthrop is watching me for junior partner too, you know. I can't afford any distractions right now." Nathan's expression cooled slightly. "Your career is always the priority, isn't it?" "That's not fair." We both agreed. The doorbell interrupted their brewing argument. Nathan stepped back, straightening his casual Oxford shirt. "That'll be Abby with the wine," Eliza sighed, forcing a smile. "Perfect timing, as always." Abigail Bennett swept into their apartment like a summer breeze, 4 years younger than Eliza, but often mistaken for her twin. Same chestnut hair, though Abby's fell in perfect waves while Eliza kept hers in a practical bob. Same hazel eyes, though Abby's seemed perpetually brightened with excitement. "I come bearing gifts," she announced, holding up 2 bottles of Pinot Noir. "And news! The gallery wants to feature my new series in their spring showcase." Eliza's tension dissolved as she embraced her sister. "Abby, that's fantastic." "We should celebrate," Nathan said, taking the wine. "I'll open these." "Speaking of celebrations," Abby continued, following him to the kitchen island, "Mom keeps asking if you two are coming home for her 60th next month." Eliza groaned. "I've got the Bergman deposition that week." "You always have something," Abby said, but her tone was gentle. She misses you. Dad, too, even if he doesn't say it. Guilt pricked at Eliza. She hadn't been home to Meadowbrook in almost a year. Their parents' divorce when she was 18 had been messy, and though they'd eventually established a civil relationship, family gatherings remained tense. Maybe Nathan could go without me, Eliza suggested, resuming her vegetable chopping. He's the favorite son-in-law anyway. Only by default, Nathan joked, pouring the wine. Since Abby here can't seem to keep a boyfriend for more than 6 months. Abby accepted her glass with a dramatic sigh. The curse of the artist. We're too tempestuous for normal relationships. Or maybe you just haven't found someone worth settling for, Nathan said, his eyes lingering on Abby a moment longer than necessary. If Eliza noticed the look that passed between them, she didn't show it. Instead, she raised her glass. To Abby's success. The Bennett sisters are taking Manhattan, one case and one canvas at a time. As they clinked glasses, Eliza didn't see the way Nathan's hand brushed against Abby's, or how her sister's cheeks flushed with more than just the excitement of her gallery news. The winter passed in a blur of work for Eliza. The Bergman case consumed her days and nights, while Nathan became increasingly distant, often staying late at Whitman and Brooks, claiming the Bishop merger demanded his full attention. It's like we're ships passing in the night, Eliza complained to her assistant, Maya, as they worked through lunch in her office. I can't remember the last time we had dinner together. Maya, sharp-eyed and fiercely loyal after 3 years working for Eliza, looked up from her salad. That's marriage during big cases. Marcus and I barely saw each other when he was finishing med school. It's more than that, Eliza admitted, pushing away her untouched sandwich. Something feels off. He's distracted, always on his phone. Last week I found a receipt for Le Bernardin in his jacket. We haven't been there in months. Client dinner? Maya suggested, though her expression was skeptical. Maybe? Eliza twirled her pen between her fingers. Or maybe the 7-year itch started early. Have you asked him about it? Eliza laughed humorlessly. When? Between my 3 a.m. brief writing and his mysterious late meetings? Besides, she added, voice dropping, I'm afraid of what he might say. The truth was, Eliza had begun to wonder if their marriage was unraveling. The passionate, supportive partnership they'd built during law school had gradually transformed into something more like a business arrangement. Shared assets, complementary schedules, occasional sex that felt increasingly mechanical. And then there was the baby question that hung between them like an accusation. Nathan's biological clock seemed to be ticking louder than hers, an irony not lost on Eliza. She wanted children, eventually, but the timing never seemed right. Now, with her fertility issues, the pressure felt unbearable. February brought a rare weekend when both Eliza and Nathan were home. She'd planned a special dinner, hoping to reconnect, when her phone buzzed with a text from Abby Emergency at the studio. Pipe burst. All my canvases in danger. Can you come help? Please! Eliza sighed, showing Nathan the message. I should go. Her new series is for that gallery showcase. Nathan nodded too quickly. Of course. I've got some briefs to review anyway. You could come with me, she suggested. We'd finish faster and then maybe catch a late dinner. Better if I stay. The Bishop paperwork is confidential. He was already reaching for his laptop. Tell Abby I hope it's not too bad. Eliza arrived at her sister's Brooklyn studio 40 minutes later, soaking wet from the unexpected downpour. Abby! She called, navigating through the converted warehouse space. Where's the flood? No answer. The studio looked immaculate. No water damage, no frantically moved canvases. Just the familiar smell of oil paint and turpentine. Abby? She called again, unease creeping into her voice. She found her sister in the back room, nervously arranging and rearranging brushes. Abby looked up, her expression a mixture of guilt and distress. There's no burst pipe, is there? Eliza asked slowly. Abby shook her head. I needed to talk to you, alone, without Nathan. She took a deep breath. Sit down, Liza. That's when Eliza knew. Something in her sister's posture, the way she couldn't maintain eye contact. The sickening clarity washed over her before Abby spoke another word. It's about Nathan, Abby began. "You're sleeping with my husband," Eliza said flatly. Abby's eyes widened. "You knew." "I didn't. Until just now." Eliza felt strangely calm, as if watching the scene from outside her body. "How long?" Abby's face crumpled. 6 months. It started when you were in Chicago for that deposition week." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I never meant for it to happen. We were just having dinner, talking about you actually, and then you decided to fuck my husband." Eliza's voice remained eerily controlled. "My husband. My sister. Liza, please. Does he love you?" The question escaped before she could stop it. Abby's silence was answer enough. "And you? Do you love him?" "I do." It came out as a whisper. "But I love you more. That's why I'm telling you. We're ending it. I'm moving to Chicago for an artist residency next month." Eliza stood, her legs somehow supporting her despite the earthquake that had just demolished her life. "How generous of you both." "Eliza, wait. Don't call me. Don't text me. As far as I'm concerned, I don't have a sister anymore." She walked out into the rain, her mind racing faster than her feet could carry her. Not back to the apartment. She couldn't face Nathan yet. Instead, she found herself at a hotel bar in Midtown, mechanically ordering a scotch she didn't want. 3 hours and 2 drinks later, she returned home, drenched and numb. Nathan was still at his laptop, pretending nothing had changed. "How bad was the damage?" he asked without looking up. Eliza stood in the entryway, water pooling around her feet. There was no burst pipe. His fingers paused over the keyboard, but he didn't turn around. "She told me everything," Eliza continued. 6 months, Nathan. Half a year of lies. Finally, he closed the laptop and faced her. She expected to see remorse, shame, perhaps even denial. Instead, she saw relief. "I was going to tell you after the Bishop merger closed," he said. "I didn't want to disrupt your Bergman case." A laugh escaped her, high and brittle. "How thoughtful. Eliza, were you ever going to tell me? Or were you just waiting for the right time to serve me divorce papers?" His silence condemned him. "It's her, isn't it?" Eliza pressed, a masochistic need to hear the truth driving her forward. "The reason you suddenly want children, you want them with her?" Nathan stood, running a hand through his hair. "It's not that simple. Actually, it is. You're in love with my sister. You want to leave me for her." Each word felt like glass in her throat. What could be simpler? "We didn't plan this," he said, as if that somehow absolved them. "It just happened." "Things like this don't just happen, Nathan. You made choices. Every secret dinner. Every text. Every time you fucked my sister while I was working on cases to build our future. A future you kept putting off," he countered, anger finally showing through his composed facade. "Children you never wanted. A marriage that's been on life support for years." The accusation hit her like a physical blow. "So this is my fault?" "No, but we've been growing apart for years, Eliza. You know it as well as I do." She did know it, and that made it worse. Had she sensed the distance growing between them and chosen to ignore it, burying herself in work rather than facing the cracks in their foundation? "Abby says she's ending it," Eliza said quietly. "Moving to Chicago." Something flickered across Nathan's face. Panic, determination. "She thinks that's best." "And what do you think is best, Nathan?" He looked at her directly then, the man she'd built her life with, the man who now held her heart in his hands like a thing he no longer wanted. "I think it's time we both admit this marriage isn't working." The divorce proceedings were swift and clinical, exactly as one would expect when both parties were attorneys. Eliza moved out of their apartment, taking only what was undeniably hers, leaving Nathan with the carefully curated life they'd built together. She rented a furnished 1-bedroom in Tribeca and threw herself into her work with renewed ferocity. The Bergman case became her lifeline, the only thing that made sense in a world suddenly turned upside down. She secured a substantial settlement for her client, earning the junior partnership she'd been working toward. Success tasted hollow without Nathan to celebrate it with. 3 months after signing the divorce papers, Eliza received an invitation that nearly stopped her heart. Embossed cream cardstock, elegant script. Mr. and Mrs. William Bennett request the honor of your presence at the marriage of their daughter, Abigail Marie Bennett, to Nathan James Caldwell. The wedding was scheduled for June, barely 6 months after Eliza's divorce was finalized. They hadn't even waited a respectable interval before announcing their relationship. Eliza called her mother immediately. "Is this some kind of sick joke?" "Eliza, sweetheart." Caroline Bennett sounded tired, torn between her daughters. "I know this is difficult. You're inviting me to watch my sister marry my ex-husband. That's not difficult, Mom. That's cruel. The invitation was your father's idea. He thought, excluding you would be worse." Eliza laughed bitterly. "How considerate. And what does Dad think about Abby marrying my leftovers?" "He's adjusting to the idea." Her mother hesitated. "Abby says they're in love, that it's real." "It was real for me too, Mom. For 7 years. Eliza's voice broke. "Did you ever think that maybe, just maybe, you should be on my side in this?" "I'm not taking sides." "But you are," Eliza interrupted. "By hosting their wedding, by acting like this is normal, you've chosen your side." She hung up. The invitation crumpled in her fist. That night, she drank too much wine and made the mistake of scrolling through social media. There they were, Nathan and Abby, photographed at a gallery opening. His arm around her waist, her head tilted against his shoulder, both glowing with happiness. The caption read, "With my love at the Hadley Gallery Spring Showcase." Couldn't be prouder of this talented woman. A blessed, ardent love. Eliza threw her phone across the room. The next morning, with a pounding headache and burning eyes, she made a decision. This passive suffering wasn't her style. In court, when the opposition blindsided her, she didn't crumple. She strategized, gathered evidence, and came back stronger. It was time to apply those skills to her personal life. She began with research. Nathan had changed the passwords on their shared accounts after the divorce, but Eliza had always been the more technologically savvy partner. It took her less than an hour to access his email. What she found confirmed her suspicions. The affair had started earlier than Abby claimed, nearly a year before the confrontation. There were hotel receipts, intimate messages, plans made while Eliza worked late. One email thread discussed their future children, while Eliza was still undergoing fertility consultations, believing she and Nathan were trying to conceive together. The betrayal cut deeper with each discovery. It wasn't just an affair, it was a calculated deception, a complete rewriting of her reality. Then she found something unexpected. Emails between Nathan and a former client, Daniel Westfield, CEO of Meridian Technologies. The correspondence predated the Bishop merger by months and suggested insider trading. Nathan had advised Westfield to purchase Bishop stock before the acquisition was public knowledge. Eliza sat back, mind racing. This was serious. Career-ending serious. The kind of evidence that could get Nathan disbarred, possibly even prosecuted. Her first instinct was to forward the emails to the SEC. Let justice take its course. But a more calculating part of her, the part shaped by years of high-stakes litigation, recognized the value of holding this information. The perfect leverage had just fallen into her lap. Meanwhile, Nathan and Abby's wedding plans proceeded at whirlwind speed. Through her mother's reluctant updates and social media posts from mutual friends, Eliza learned they'd chosen the St. Regis for their venue, the same hotel where Eliza and Nathan had celebrated their engagement. She wasn't invited to Abby's bridal shower, but saw photos, her sister radiant in white, surrounded by friends who had once been Eliza's friends too. Women who now smiled and toasted the bride as if the groom hadn't belonged to someone else mere months ago. The ultimate betrayal came when Eliza discovered, through an accidental copy on a group email, that her parents had offered to help the couple with a down payment on a brownstone in Brooklyn Heights. The same financial assistance they'd declined to provide when Eliza and Nathan were newlyweds struggling with Manhattan rent. "We didn't think you needed it," her father explained, awkwardly when she confronted him. "You both had good jobs, clear career paths. Abby's an artist. Her income is less stable. And she's always been your favorite," Eliza finished for him. You don't have to pretend otherwise. Not anymore. William Bennett's silence was confirmation enough. As the wedding date approached, Eliza formulated her plan. The evidence of Nathan's financial misconduct was her nuclear option: destructive, irreversible, and potentially harmful to innocent bystanders. She needed something more precise, something that would affect only the architects of her pain. The opportunity presented itself unexpectedly, through Maya. "Guess whose name came across my desk this morning?" her assistant asked during their weekly case review. "Westfield. Daniel Westfield of Meridian Tech." Eliza kept her expression neutral. "The Bishop acquisition guy? What about him?" "He's being investigated by the SEC for irregular trading patterns. Nothing public yet, but they've subpoenaed a bunch of his records." Maya lowered her voice. "Including communications with his legal counsel." "That would be Nathan," Eliza said, pulse quickening. "Exactly. I thought you might want to know. Given everything." Eliza nodded thoughtfully. "Thanks for the heads up." That evening, she composed a careful email to Nathan from a new, anonymous account. "I know about Westfield and Bishop. I have the emails. Meet me tomorrow, 7 p.m., the Churchill Bar. Come alone, or the SEC gets everything." His reply came within minutes. "Who is this?" She didn't respond. The next night, Eliza arrived at the Churchill early, selecting a quiet corner table with a view of the entrance. She'd chosen the venue deliberately. It was where they'd had their first date as law students, a place Nathan would remember. He appeared precisely at 7, scanning the dimly lit space until his eyes locked on hers. Recognition, then wariness crossed his features as he approached. "I should have known it was you," he said, sliding into the seat across from her. He looked good, irritatingly good, in a tailored charcoal suit, the gold band on his left hand catching the light. Abby's ring, not hers. "Hello, Nathan." Eliza kept her voice level. "Thanks for coming. Did you really think blackmail was the way to go here, Eliza?" His tone was more disappointed than angry. "I thought we ended things civilly. Did we? Because from where I'm sitting, you left me for my sister, married her before our divorce papers were even cold, and never once apologized for blowing up my life." She leaned forward. "So no, I wouldn't call that ending things civilly." Nathan glanced around, lowering his voice. "What do you want, money?" The question was so insulting she almost laughed. "I don't want your money." "Then what?" "I want you to call off the wedding." His expression hardened. "That's not happening. Abby and I are building your relationship on the ruins of mine," she finished. "And now you've dragged my family into your fairy tale, making me the villain for not celebrating your betrayal. Is that what this is about? You're upset about the invitation?" He shook his head. "That was William's idea, not mine. I told him you wouldn't come." "You're right about that." Eliza opened her purse and withdrew a USB drive, placing it on the table between them. "This contains every email between you and Westfield about Bishop before the merger was announced. Enough evidence to end your career and possibly land you in federal prison." Nathan stared at the drive, his lawyer's mind clearly calculating the implications. "What do you want?" he repeated, all pretense of composure gone. "Like I said, call off the wedding. I can't do that. We've already paid deposits, sent invitations. Figure it out." Eliza's voice was steel. "Or I send this to the SEC, the Bar Association, and the managing partners at Whitman and Brooks. You'd destroy my career over this? After 7 years together?" His incredulity seemed genuine. "You destroyed our marriage for an affair with my sister. Seems fair." Nathan was silent for a long moment, fingers steepled in the gestures she'd seen him use countless times before delivering a devastating argument in court. "And if I do what you ask? You'll give me the only copy of those emails?" Eliza nodded. "Break Abby's heart the way you broke mine and your secrets stay buried." "You'd hurt your own sister like that?" "She stopped being my sister the moment she decided my husband was fair game." Nathan's jaw tightened. "I'll need time to think." "You have until tomorrow." Eliza stood, leaving the USB drive on the table. "Choose wisely." She walked out without looking back, heart hammering. The USB contained only a single text file that read, "This could have been the evidence." Consider it a warning. The real emails were safely encrypted on her laptop, backed up in 3 separate locations. As she stepped into the warm June evening, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "It's Abby. We need to talk. Please." Eliza agreed to meet her sister at a neutral location, a quiet cafe in the West Village, far from their usual haunts. She arrived early, selecting a table in the back, preparing herself for the confrontation. Abby entered looking simultaneously radiant and wretched, the glow of a bride-to-be dimmed by evident stress. She wore her engagement ring, a princess-cut diamond larger than the one Nathan had given Eliza years ago. "Thank you for coming," Abby said, sliding into the chair opposite. "I wasn't sure you would." "I almost didn't," Eliza replied honestly. A tense silence stretched between them, 2 sisters who had once shared everything, now separated by an unbridgeable chasm of betrayal. "Nathan told me about your meeting," Abby finally said. "About the evidence you have. Did he tell you what it was evidence of?" Abby nodded. "Some mistake he made with a client." "He says it was unintentional." Eliza laughed without humor. "Of course he does. And you believe him?" "I do." Abby's voice was soft but certain, "just like I believe he loves me. That this isn't just some midlife crisis or rebound. How convenient for you both." "Liza, please." Abby reached across the table, withdrawing when Eliza recoiled from her touch. "I know we hurt you. Terribly. Unforgivably. But this blackmail? This isn't you." "You don't know me anymore," Eliza countered. "The person I was died the day I found out my husband and my sister were sleeping together behind my back. We never meant—" "Don't." Eliza cut her off sharply. "Don't tell me you never meant to hurt me. Not when you're wearing his ring. Not when you're marrying him in 2 weeks." Tears welled in Abby's eyes. "What do you want from us? To be miserable forever because we fell in love at the wrong time, with the wrong person?" "The wrong person," Eliza repeated incredulously. "He was my husband, Abby. Mine. You could have had anyone else in the world." "But I don't want anyone else," Abby whispered. "I want him." The raw honesty hit Eliza like a physical blow. For the first time, she truly grasped that this wasn't just an affair to them. They genuinely believed they belonged together, regardless of who got hurt in the process. "So what now?" Abby asked, wiping away tears. "You'll destroy Nathan's career if we don't cancel our wedding? Ruin 3 lives instead of 1? "My life is already ruined," Eliza said flatly. "No, it's not," Abby insisted. "You're brilliant, successful, beautiful. You made partner. Your career is thriving. While you took everything else?" "Not everything." Abby hesitated, then continued carefully. "Nathan told me about the fertility issues, that you 2 were having problems before us." The mention of her most private struggle ignited Eliza's fury. "He had no right to share that with you. He's worried about you, Liza. We both are." "Spare me your concern?" Eliza spat. "If you cared about me at all, you wouldn't be marrying him." Abby's expression hardened slightly. "That's not fair. I've loved you my whole life. You're my big sister, my hero. But I love him too. And I won't apologize for that anymore." "Then we have nothing left to discuss." Eliza gathered her purse, preparing to leave. "Wait," Abby said desperately. What if we postpone the wedding? Give everyone more time to adjust. Maybe with some distance." "I don't want distance," Eliza interrupted. "I want justice. And this is your idea of justice? Threatening to send Nathan to prison? It's better than he deserves." Eliza stood. "You have 48 hours to cancel the wedding or the emails go public." "Please don't do this," Abby begged, tears streaming freely now. "If not for us, then for Mom and Dad. It would destroy them." The mention of their parents sparked something in Eliza, a flicker of doubt. Was she prepared to tear her family apart completely? To become the villain in their story? But then she remembered the wedding invitation, the brownstone down payment, all the ways her parents had chosen Abby's happiness over her pain. You should have thought about that before you slept with my husband, she said coldly, and walked away. That night, Eliza couldn't sleep. She paced her apartment, second-guessing her ultimatum. Was revenge worth the collateral damage? Would destroying Nathan and Abby's relationship actually heal her own wounds, or simply create new ones? Around midnight, her phone lit up with Nathan's number. "We need to talk," he said when she answered. Face to face. One last time. They met at their old apartment, Nathan and Abby's apartment now. Eliza hadn't been back since moving out, and the changes were immediately apparent. Abby's artwork on the walls where Eliza's law school diplomas had hung. New furniture, new colors, a complete erasure of Eliza's existence. Nathan led her to the living room, where Abby waited, eyes red-rimmed but resolute. They sat across from her, a united front. "We've made a decision," Nathan began. "We're not canceling the wedding." Eliza's eyebrows rose. "Then I guess I'll be making some calls to the SEC tomorrow." "Before you do that," he continued, "I want you to hear our counteroffer." "I'm not interested in negotiations. Just listen," Abby pleaded. "Please." Eliza sat back, crossing her arms. "Fine. We acknowledge that what we did was wrong," Nathan said, lawyer mode engaged. "The way our relationship began hurt you deeply, and for that we're genuinely sorry. Too little. Too late," Eliza muttered. "As a gesture of our remorse," he continued as if she hadn't spoken, "and in exchange for the complete deletion of all copies of those emails, we're prepared to offer you the following." He slid a document across the coffee table, a deed transfer. Eliza scanned it quickly, breath catching. "The Hamptons' house?" She looked up in confusion. Nathan nodded. "My family's summer home. The one we renovated together. It's yours, free and clear. Worth at least $3 million in today's market." Eliza stared at the document, memories flooding back. The weekends they'd spent choosing fixtures, arguing over paint colors, planning future summers with the children they hoped to have. The house had been in Nathan's family for generations. His grandfather had built it, his parents had expanded it. It was his legacy, the one thing he'd vowed never to sell. "You'd give up your family home?" she asked, disbelief evident in her voice. "For Abby's happiness, yes." His gaze shifted to her sister. "For our future." Eliza looked between them, understanding dawning. "This isn't about remorse. This is a bribe. It's compensation," Nathan corrected, "for genuine harm done. You think you can buy my silence? My forgiveness?" "Not forgiveness," Abby interjected softly. "Just peace, a chance for everyone to move forward." Eliza laughed bitterly. "While you two ride off into the sunset, and I get a consolation prize." "It's a valuable property," Nathan pointed out. "Ever practical?" "It's blood money," Eliza countered, pushing the deed back toward him. "And I don't want it," Nathan's composure finally cracked. "What do you want, Eliza? To punish us forever? Will that make you happy?" "Happy?" The word felt foreign on her tongue. "I haven't been happy since the day I found out my husband was fucking my sister." Abby flinched at the crudeness, but Nathan held Eliza's gaze. "Then what will? Seeing me disbarred? Watching Abby suffer? Will that heal whatever's broken inside you?" The question hit too close to the truth, and Eliza stood abruptly. "This conversation is over. Cancel the wedding or face the consequences." As she moved toward the door, Abby called after her. "The invitations went out, Liza. People are coming from all over. We can't just—" "Not my problem," Eliza cut her off. "We'll go to the police," Nathan said suddenly. "Report your blackmail attempt." Eliza turned back, eyebrow raised. "With what proof? Your word against mine? And how will you explain the emails I have without admitting to securities fraud?" The checkmate was evident in Nathan's expression. 48 hours, she reminded them, and left. Back in her apartment, Eliza poured herself a generous scotch and sat in darkness, the city lights twinkling beyond her window. The confrontation had left her hollow rather than vindicated. Nathan's question echoed, "Will that heal whatever's broken inside you?" Would it? The truth was she didn't know. She only knew that the thought of Abby and Nathan exchanging vows, starting a family, building the life that should have been hers, it was unbearable. Her phone buzzed with a text from her mother. "Whatever you're doing, please stop." It's not too late to find peace? Had Nathan and Abby told her parents about the blackmail? Or was this just maternal intuition? Eliza didn't respond. The next morning, she woke to discover that neither Nathan nor Abby had contacted her. No announcement of a canceled wedding, no desperate pleas for mercy. Just silence. Had they called her bluff? Or were they simply waiting until the last moment to concede? As the 48-hour deadline approached, Eliza prepared the evidence. She organized the emails chronologically, highlighted the damning passages, drafted a cover letter for the SEC. Her finger hovered over the send button as the clock struck the appointed hour. She couldn't do it. Not because she'd forgiven them, she hadn't. Not because she didn't want revenge, she did. But because sending those emails meant closing the door forever, admitting that her marriage was truly over, that her sister was truly lost to her. As long as the threat remained, she still had power. Once executed, that power would vanish, leaving only the wreckage. She closed her laptop without sending the evidence. 3 days later, she received a text from Nathan. "Abby's in the hospital. Stress-induced collapse. Wedding postponed, not canceled. Your move." The message wasn't what she'd demanded, but it gave her pause. Had she really pushed her sister to the breaking point? The thought brought no satisfaction, only a hollow ache. She didn't reply. A week passed. Then 2. June slipped into July, and with it came a revised wedding invitation. The ceremony had been rescheduled for September, downsized from the St. Regis to Nathan's parents' estate in Connecticut. Eliza's name remained on the guest list. It was checkmate of a different kind. By proceeding with the wedding while acknowledging her pain through the postponement, they'd placed the moral burden back on her shoulders. If she sent the emails now, she'd be the vindictive ex, unable to move on. If she attended the wedding, she'd be giving her blessing to their union, a perfect trap. Eliza did neither. Instead, she booked a flight to France, a 2-week solo vacation to coincide with their wedding date. She informed her parents of her plans, making it clear that her absence was deliberate, not an oversight. "Will this feud between you girls ever end?" her mother asked wearily during their phone call. "This isn't a feud, Mom. This is a fundamental breach of trust." They've apologized. They postponed the wedding. Nathan even offered you the Hamptons house, so they had told her parents. Some things can't be fixed with property or postponements. No, her mother agreed sadly. But some things can't be fixed with revenge either. The words lingered with Eliza as she prepared for her trip. Was she still seeking revenge? Or had this become something else? A desperate attempt to assert control over a situation that had spiraled beyond her grasp. 2 days before her scheduled departure, she received an unexpected visitor. Her father, William Bennett, stood at her door, looking older and more tired than she remembered. "Dad," she said, surprised. "What are you doing here?" "May I come in?" he asked formally. She stepped aside, allowing him into her apartment. They hadn't spoken directly since their argument about the brownstone down payment. "Your mother doesn't know I'm here," he said, declining her offer of coffee. "I needed to speak with you privately." "About the wedding?" Eliza guessed. "About family." He sat heavily on her sofa. "About mistakes and forgiveness?" "Dad, if you're here to convince me to attend—" "I'm not," he interrupted. "I wouldn't ask that of you." The unexpected response silenced her. "I owe you an apology, Eliza." Her father's voice was gruff with emotion. "For a lot of things, but especially for not being more sensitive to your pain these past months." Eliza sat across from him, wary. "You chose Abby's side." "I thought I was being neutral," he admitted. "Supporting Abby didn't have to mean abandoning you, but that's how it felt to you, wasn't it?" She nodded, a lump forming in her throat. "Your mother and we've been so focused on keeping the peace, on not losing either of our daughters, that we failed to acknowledge the magnitude of your loss." He looked down at his clasped hands. "I was wrong about the brownstone money, about the wedding hosting, about a lot of things. Why are you telling me this now?" "Because I don't want to lose you." He looked up, eyes suspiciously bright. "And because I need you to understand something about revenge." Eliza stiffened. "Did Nathan send you?" "No one sent me. This is father to daughter." He leaned forward. "Whatever you're planning, whatever leverage you think you have over them, let it go." "You don't know what you're asking." "I do," he insisted. "When your mother left me for Philip, I wanted to destroy her. I had evidence of financial improprieties that could have ruined her business, her reputation." This was news to Eliza. The official story of her parents' divorce had always been irreconcilable differences. "Mom had an affair?" she asked incredulously. William nodded. "With her business partner. They're still together. Why didn't you tell us?" "To protect you girls. And her." He sighed heavily. "I loved your mother despite everything. I didn't want to see her suffer, even though she'd hurt me. So you just forgave her?" "Not immediately. Not completely. But eventually I realized that destroying her wouldn't heal me. It would only create more pain, more division." He reached for Eliza's hand. "Don't make my mistake of waiting years to understand that." "They deserve to suffer," Eliza said, but the words lacked conviction. "Maybe. But do you deserve to carry that burden? To define your life by their betrayal?" She had no answer. "Whatever you decide about the emails, the wedding, all of it, do it for yourself, not for them." He squeezed her hand. "Choose the path that brings you peace, not the one that causes the most damage." After her father left, Eliza sat for hours, turning his words over in her mind. The revelation about her parents' divorce cast her own situation in a new light. Had she been unconsciously reenacting her mother's betrayal through Nathan and Abby? Had her father's apparent forgiveness set an impossible standard she felt compelled to reject? The questions had no easy answers, but one thing became clear. She was tired. Tired of anger, tired of plotting, tired of defining herself as the wronged wife, the betrayed sister. Whatever she decided, it needed to serve her healing, not her vendetta. She canceled her trip to France. The day of Nathan and Abby's wedding dawned clear and bright, a perfect September Saturday. Eliza had made no contact, issued no new threats. As far as anyone knew, she was out of the country, allowing the ceremony to proceed without disruption. Instead, she was in a hotel room near the Connecticut estate, preparing for a different kind of confrontation. She chose her outfit carefully, a midnight blue evening gown, elegant but not flashy. Professional makeup that highlighted her features without appearing overdone. Hair swept into a simple updo. No jewelry except diamond studs, Nathan's first gift to her back in law school. At precisely 6 p.m., when the reception would be in full swing, she arrived at the estate. A security guard checked her name against the guest list, surprised to find it there. She'd never sent an RSVP. "Ms. Bennett, we weren't expecting you," he said, waving her through. "I'm full of surprises," she replied with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. The reception was being held in a vast white tent on the estate's manicured lawn. String lights twinkled overhead, tables adorned with elaborate floral arrangements, champagne flowing freely. A smaller, more intimate affair than the original St. Regis plan, but beautiful nonetheless. Eliza paused at the entrance, scanning the crowd. Her parents stood near the dance floor, their backs to her. Various relatives mingled with Nathan's family, everyone seemingly determined to pretend this was a normal wedding, a joyous occasion unmarred by scandal. And then she saw them, Nathan and Abby, locked in their first dance as husband and wife. They moved gracefully to a song Eliza recognized, At Last by Etta James, her song. The one she and Nathan had danced to at their own wedding. The audacity nearly took her breath away. As the song ended and applause erupted, Eliza made her move. She plucked a champagne flute from a passing server's tray and approached the edge of the dance floor. With deliberate force, she smashed it against the floor. Silence fell, all eyes turning toward the sound. "I'd like to make a toast," she announced, her voice carrying across the stunned gathering. Abby froze, clutching Nathan's arm. Her mother took a step forward, but William held her back, watching Eliza with an unreadable expression. Another server approached with a fresh glass of champagne, and Eliza accepted it with a nod of thanks. "To the happy couple," she continued, raising her glass. "My sister and my ex-husband." A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. Many of the guests, particularly those from Nathan's side, hadn't known the full story. "Until now, Eliza, please," her mother began. "No, Mom, I think everyone here deserves to know exactly what kind of marriage we're celebrating today." Her eyes locked with Nathan's. "Did you tell them how it began? How you were still in my bed when you started sleeping with her? Or how you two planned your future while I was planning our anniversary?" Nathan whispered something into Abby's ear. She nodded slightly, panic etched across her perfect features. "Security," Nathan called, his lawyer voice perfectly modulated despite the chaos. "We have an uninvited guest," Eliza laughed. "That's right, Nathan. I wasn't invited to the wedding of my sister and the man I was married to for 7 years. She took a step forward, glass dangling from her fingers. "But that's okay, because I brought my own gift." She reached into her clutch and pulled out a small USB drive, holding it up like a trophy. For those who don't know the backstory, Nathan here has been very concerned about some emails I have. Emails that could end his legal career and possibly send him to prison. She twirled the drive between her fingers. He even offered me his family's Hamptons house in exchange for my silence. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Nathan's parents exchanged alarmed glances. "But I didn't take the deal," Eliza continued, "because some things can't be bought, like integrity, or sisterhood, or wedding vows." She turned to face the assembled guests directly now, her voice stronger. "I came here today because I wanted to look each of you in the eye and ask, is this really what we're celebrating? 2 people who betrayed someone they claimed to love? Who built their happiness on someone else's pain?" No one answered. No one could. "I spent months planning my revenge," Eliza admitted, turning back to the newlyweds, fantasizing about this moment. "About watching your perfect day crumble the way my perfect life did." Nathan took a protective step in front of Abby. "Eliza, that's enough." "Actually, it is enough," she agreed, surprising him. "Enough anger. Enough bitterness. Enough letting your betrayal define me." She approached them slowly, the USB drive extended in her palm. "This is my wedding gift to you both. Every email, every piece of evidence I had against you, deleted from my devices, with this final copy now in your hands." Nathan stared at her in disbelief, making no move to take the drive. "I'm not giving you this out of forgiveness," Eliza clarified. "I don't forgive you. I might never forgive you. But I'm done letting you occupy space in my heart and mind that you don't deserve." Abby stepped forward, tears streaming down her face. "Liza, don't," Eliza cut her off. "This isn't a reconciliation. This is a goodbye." She placed the USB drive on the nearest table and turned to leave, then paused, facing the silent crowd one last time. "Oh, and one more thing. I called the SEC last week. Told them everything I knew about Westfield, Bishop, and Nathan's involvement. They're already investigating." She smiled thinly at Nathan's stricken expression. "The USB is empty. Just like your promises." With that, she walked out of the tent, past the security guards who seemed unsure whether to stop her, and into the cool September evening. Behind her, chaos erupted, raised voices. Accusations. The distinct sound of a marriage beginning to fracture under the weight of exposed secrets. 6 months later, Eliza sat in her office at Taylor & Winthrop, reviewing a deposition transcript. She'd made senior partner the previous month, the youngest in the firm's history. The Westfield case had made national headlines, with Nathan pleading guilty to reduced charges in exchange for testimony against bigger players in the scheme. His law license was suspended indefinitely. Abby had filed for divorce 3 months after the wedding. According to their mother, who had cautiously renewed contact with Eliza, she'd moved to Berlin for an extended artist residency. unable to face the scandal that continued to unfold in New York. Eliza's phone buzzed with a text from Maya. "He's here. Conference room C." She took a deep breath, straightened her blazer, and made her way down the hall. In the conference room waited Daniel Westfield, former CEO of Meridian Technologies, now cooperating witness for the prosecution. Taylor and Winthrop had been appointed to represent certain shareholders in civil proceedings against the company. "Mr. Westfield," she greeted him coolly as she entered. "Thank you for coming in today." He nodded, a shadow of the confident executive she remembered from Nathan's firm parties. "Ms. Bennett, I understand you're leading the shareholder action." "That's correct." She took a seat across from him, placing her legal pad on the table. "I have some questions about your communications with Nathan Caldwell prior to the Bishop acquisition." Westfield studied her face. "You're his ex-wife?" "I am," she acknowledged without emotion. "Does that concern you? Should it? Only if you have something to hide." She clicked her pen, the picture of professional detachment. "Shall we begin?" As she guided him through the questioning, Eliza felt none of the vindication she'd once craved. Neither Nathan nor Abby occupied her thoughts much anymore. Their betrayal had carved a space inside her that was gradually filling with other things: professional achievement, new friendships, even a cautious re-entry into dating. She'd chosen freedom over vengeance, and found that the best revenge wasn't destroying their lives, it was reclaiming her own. When the deposition concluded and Westfield departed, Eliza returned to her office to find an envelope on her desk. Inside was a check, her portion of the proceeds from the sale of the Hamptons' house. Nathan's parents had sold it to cover his legal fees. She smiled faintly, tucking the check into her drawer. Tomorrow, she'd donate the entire amount to a women's shelter in Brooklyn, not out of spite, but because it felt like the right ending to this chapter of her life. She'd meant what she said at the wedding. She didn't forgive them, but she had released them, and in doing so, released herself. As evening fell over Manhattan, Eliza gathered her things and headed out. Not to an empty apartment this time, but to dinner with a litigation colleague from a rival firm. A first date, perhaps the beginning of something new, or perhaps just another step forward, away from the past that no longer defined her. Either way, she was ready.
And that wraps up today's story. Now we want to hear from you. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments, and let's see how far these stories reach. If this story moved you or gave you chills, give it a like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories. One last thing, rate the story from 1 to 10 in the comments. Your feedback helps us bring you even better ones next time. Thanks for watching. We appreciate you being part of this storytelling journey.